Welcome to Inkwell Spoken Presents Common Genius, Uncommon Destiny. I am your host, Reggie Key, and today I have with me my brother from another mother, my line brother of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Zio,
Yes, sir.
Matthew John Isaac Munn, the 3 to my 4. What's up, man?
Man, I'm good, brother. How you feeling?
I'm all right. Hey, look, I hope you don't mind I put your whole government name out there. It's not often that I run into somebody that has four
right.
names. So it sounds so elegant when you just say all four together.
It's all good, brother.
But you know,
Yeah, you can't resist.
Yeah, you know I do.
Too hype.
Yo, where you staying now, man? I meant to ask you that if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, well, I am currently in Delaware. I was in New York for the last 10 years, and with the pandemic and all the mixing up that caused, I took advantage of an opportunity. I'm working remotely now, so I decided, you know what, I'm from Delaware, as you know, and I haven't lived here.
Why?
Yep, M-O-N-T. So I grew up in Delaware, went to UD, University of Delaware, and ever since I graduated from there, I haven't lived in Delaware, since I left undergrad. And so this was an opportunity for me to get a got a little 2-bedroom apartment down here close to home. I'm equidistant between my sister and her family and my parents, and so I'm seeing everybody, playing softball with my cousins, just like experiencing a more family-oriented life as an adult for the first time, you know what I mean? And my 20 years out since college, literally 20 years. This is my 20-year anniversary, actually, this year. So yeah, man. So it's been great. I'm holding it down here in Delaware.
I'm happy for you, man, because I know, I mean, from the onset, I knew that family was important. So I'm glad to see you. But I didn't realize it had been a full decade that you were in New York, man.
Yeah, man. Time flies. I was in California for like 6 years before that, and Georgia before California. So yeah, man. Yeah, it seems like time is just like, as you get older, it's just like it's moving even faster. And so I'm trying to appreciate. Hence the reason why I'm trying to spend some of this time with the fam, because it's like, yo, before you know it, you're an old man. You know what I mean? College days swiftly pass, but so do all the other days after that. So, so yeah, man.
So tell me, man, are you still enjoying what you do? Tell the people what you do first and foremost, and then let me know if you're still enjoying it.
Yeah, man. So I've been working in the animation industry, in the specifically in film, for all of my career, and so I went to art school after Delaware. I went to SCAD in Savannah, Georgia, and that's Savannah College of Art and Design, and studied animation. And from there went to did a little internship in Atlanta, but then ended up in LA at Sony ImageWorks. So I worked on a bunch of projects there: Open Season, Surf's Up, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, a couple VFX projects like I Am Legend, and one of the Narnia movies. And then
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, man, there's Prince Caspian, I think, was the one I worked on. Yeah.
All right.
And so I think there was a couple other, like Speed Racer and some other stuff. But from there, I went to DreamWorks for just like a year and a half. I was working on some How to Train Your Dragon stuff and Puss in Boots, and then went to Blue Sky, trying to make my way back to the East Coast to get, again, close to the family. As I started getting a little older in my career, I was like, yeah, I got to get back. So I ended up taking an advantage of an opportunity to come to Blue Sky Studios, and was there for like 9.5 years, almost 10. Worked on a whole bunch of stuff, Ice Age stuff, Spies in the Skies, most recently, Peanuts movie, all kinds of stuff. Rio, yeah. So Blue Sky, sparing a lot of the details, ended up getting acquired by Disney and then getting shut down, believe it or not, because of this was partially because of what went on in the pandemic with you know, companies were taking hits financially. The parks weren't generating revenue, so Disney had to make a lot of cuts. They cut the they ended up closing down the studio, so I had to figure out what I was going to do next. And instead of going to get another animation job, because mind you, throughout all of this, I was a character animator animating on a team of animators. And I ended up deciding I was going to move here to Delaware and take like some time off to develop my own story concept. You know what I mean? Because I wanted to pitch. I had some ideas, and I was like, I feel like I'd like for my career to start transitioning into one where now I'm kind of participating and telling the stories, you know. I've been working on other people's story ideas for my whole career. I was like, I have some ideas of my own. I felt like there was a lack of Black culture in animation. And so I was like, yo, I need to play my part in trying to, you know, get either a feature film or a TV series or something going where we can showcase our culture, our people in a dope, you know, kind of animated show or something. So thankfully things worked out. I busted my tail for the 6 months since the shutdown of the studio, and ended up pitching to a whole bunch of places, and ended up getting one of my story ideas optioned by, believe it or not, Disney Television Animation. So now I'm back working for the Mouse, and we're in pre-pilot development on an animated series idea that I pitched to them that features, like I said, Black culture. It's got a Black girl hero who's kicking butt and you know, practicing magic, and you know, she's super powerful, doesn't get turned into an animal at any point in the movie, and it's glorious. It's going to be full of vibes, all that good stuff. So yeah, that's where I am now. So we're working hard on that, and you know, when things work out, and you know, down the road, hopefully, you know, few years from now, you'll be watching this animated series on Disney Plus. You know,
is there like a tentative name title for it?
Yeah, right now it's called Journey, and the name is that name is the name of the main character, and she's named after my sister's first daughter, her baby girl, who's like now like a year and a half, I think. She's like my first actual biological niece, you know what I mean? So as I was developing this concept, my sister was pregnant with Journey, and so this story idea is as old as she is right now. So yeah, so it's she's the inspiration, motivation, you know what I mean, kind of to tell this story, because when she's 4 or 5 years old, I want her to see someone that looks like her on screen. Absolutely. You know, doing some heroic stuff, you know what I mean? So that's the motivation.
It's time for us. I heard what you said, and I feel like it was a dig to Princess and the Frog. He was like, yeah, she does not get turned into an animal.
Yeah, man, it's not just Princess and the Frog, man. It's all of our movies, man. Spies in Disguise, the same way.
No, for real.
Yeah.
Like my daughter is 11, and I stand in the background and watch the stuff that she watches. Sometimes I watch with her, but you know, some of the like. And I was asking her the other day, I was like, yo, is there something that the shows that you watch could do that would make you be like, I can't watch it? Because I was seeing a Black character come onto the show and doing the stereotypical Black stuff. I mean, one dude like stole something, and I'm like, yo, you don't see nothing wrong with that?
Yeah.
Why do you always got to be depicted like that? You know, and you watching one of my guys is watching Andor. You a Star Wars fan, right?
I do love Star Wars, but I haven't been on Andor yet. I
watch it, but my guy, like, he was like, yo, watch it with me. So I was watching it, and two of the Black guys that are on there end up doing some shady type stuff, and end up, you know what happened with us. They don't last long.
Yeah, they get killed.
It surprises me that narrative is is so entrenched in so much of the stuff that we watch, and it's sending messages that we conditioned to accept, though.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, so that's
real. Change that.
Absolutely. Storytelling is the way that we teach lessons and tell people about what the human experience is, you know, and like we got it. So there's a responsibility there, you know what I mean? If we're if the only messaging that I'm receiving as a young Black boy is that Black people are this way, then it's going to influence everything. Like, even if I'm not aware of it subconsciously, I'm going to be, a little less confident move in certain spaces, or a little more in other spaces potentially. Like if you know what I mean? Like, I make this joke before talking to friends. Like, I have a lot of, white friends who, I work with and stuff, and we'll be in conversations, and like, I was telling them, there's a certain thing we have to overcome in our society, like, or as Black people, because if you don't really see yourself represented as like anything, like a scientist or an artist or whatever it is, when you're trying to achieve this, like, or pursue that particular thing, there's a part of your brain that's like, I don't like that imposter syndrome. Like, this isn't what like, I'm not supposed to be good at this.
Yep.
And I felt like that as a kid, like in science class, when every person I see in these science books doesn't look like me, I feel like I'm like some exceptional person that's like got to do more, go above and beyond to keep up, because all my classmates, they got it naturally. That's what I'm thinking. Yep. And it's kind of like that same joke of like, when on The Office or whatever, when they all went to play basketball, they just assume what Stanley is. Just like, yeah, but it's so that's like an example of another different situation. As that young Black kid, if I'm walking past the playground and there's some white kids like, hey, you want to play ball? Like, the programming tells me, oh, I should be good at this compared to them, because we do get told we're good at basketball, but that's like it. Basketball and rapping, you know what I'm saying? And so It's like, we need more representation across the board. And so, like, yeah, man, I think with these stories, we want to see some, like, let's see the Black characters doing shady stuff, but only if we're also seeing Black characters leading a team of heroes, or doing some, really brilliant stuff as well, and sophisticated stuff. And we need to see it all,
We need to see the whole spectrum.
Exactly.
Right? And the spectrum has been lopsided for too long. That was an
absolutely
excellent way to kind of get into what we're going to talk about today. I just got to say this to you, man. Like, you were one of the first people who I saw pursuing their dreams in a way that didn't have anything to do. And, our line was a lot of engineers, right?
Right.
And nothing wrong with engineers, but you know why? I can tell you why I pursue engineering. I pursue engineering because, we're told, like, yo, get money.
Get that money. Yeah, that money, engineering bag,
right?
Yeah.
But I'm not even in engineering anymore. I didn't last 2 years in the field before I got laid off, and then had to like sort out my life and figure out
right.
engineering degree. And I'm gonna get off into all that. But you were one of the first people, and I've been watching you, of course, this whole time. So you say, hey, look, I'm gonna go after this animation though. And seeing the beginnings of it, and then seeing where it progressed, where I could see your 4 names at the end of the time. I was like, hey, I was shaking wait for a second. Don't leave. Look at that name right there. I know him, right? And see you attached to these big name projects. I just gotta, salute, man, because
hey, man, I appreciate it.
Something that you were probably told often, like, no, don't pursue that though.
Right. That's real. And what's wild is so while we were online, while I was at Delaware with you, I was a computer science major, as you remember. So it was like all engineers and then computer science. So what's wild is that, and for the same reasons, like, I mean, I did enjoy coding, like programming was dope to me, but like, it was also very much about, everyone knows that computer science is the future, the way to go. This is where you get the money. And like, what ended up happening was I discovered a animation, 3D animation, computer animation software, Maya, which is like, changed the game. Yeah, his name Maya, beautiful name. We love that name. And yes, indeed. But it was the intention. I like picked it up because I was trying to create some characters for one of the video games I was trying to make, like rudimentary games. But point is I fell in love with this computer art aspect of this process. And this was in like my junior year, going into my senior year. And so I was faced with that question, like, oh man, I'm clearly more into this, but is it too late to like try to consider pursuing something down this path, because I'm 3+ years into computer science. I'm already applying for graduate programs in computer science. And so here's what's wild. I had a mentor who I will not besmirch her name, because she was a hugely impactful person in my life. But there was one moment where she actually gave me bad advice. She was like, I wouldn't, because I was trying to decide, should I go to art school or computer science school for grad school? And she said, you would be making a mistake if you went to art school, because you've got an opportunity here, you know, based on the school that I had gotten accepted into for computer science and master's program. She's like, you're going to make so much money and all that. And she kept saying that, like, this is the type of school where after you get that degree, the type of job you're going to get is likely to be 6 figures, And she really made it a tough decision for me. But then I talked to my mama, and my mom was like, follow your heart, baby. Just whatever you feel on the inside, just go. Don't worry about the money. God will work it out, like all that stuff. And I made that call, and it was like such a critical decision. And it was, like, to your point, to follow the passion, my heart, what I was actually feeling pulled to do, and not making a decision based on this fear that I'm giving up all this money and all this stuff. So so it ended up that was a blessing, you know.
We'll talk about it a little bit more, man, because passion is one of the components that I'm defining help you unlock your genius, right? But passion is something that when you get inside of it, or when it gets inside of you, you'll do it for free. Like it doesn't matter what your compensation is. I mean, I remember doing this workshop at this high school in Elgin where I was living for a decade before school, and they didn't pay me. I didn't care. Because I was like, yo, this is important, and I need to empower these students. And now, for the first time after 10 years, after I moved to South Carolina, now they're offering me a contract.
Wow.
Because they finally see the value in it, and they're like, yeah, we need to get you on payroll, though. And I'm like, all right, bet. But it was never about that. I mean, and I would tell the students when I first started, like, yo, when you're getting your passion, you'll do it for free, but you'll do it with such conviction, you'll do it so well that somebody will eventually pay you for it. Yeah. And it became a self-fulfilling prophecy where it happened at the very school that I was mentioning it all those years ago.
Yeah. That's wild, man. Isn't that crazy how it works?
It is.
It's beautiful though. Yeah.
So look, I know I only got a limited amount of time with you. I want to, like I said, you've laid a good foundation for us to springboard into talking about genius. So I'm going to define genius by 3 elements: passion, talent, and purpose. We already started dabbling into the passion and talent, but I'm going to have some very unique perspectives and definitions that's going to help even broaden what it is that we're saying and talking about. It's going to broaden it, but it's also going to hone it in too. So, Matt, I got a question for you though. For the longest I've had an interview before I've even asked this question, because it's the thing that's supposed to jump off everything.
Okay. Oh boy.
Do you consider yourself to be a genius?
Man, you know what? Honestly, I'm going to say no. Okay. And yeah, I don't know if you want an explanation, but I'll say no. Do you want me to explain why?
Go ahead and explain why.
So I feel like the right answer is probably yes, right? But like I think, well, I mean, I guess I don't know whether there's a right or wrong answer, but I say no because if you're like being sincere, I feel like rightly or wrongly, I associate genius with like an accomplishment, right? So like I feel like I need to have have achieved some accomplished something that is like so exceptional that only the rarest of minds could pull it off in order to be able to label myself as a genius. And so I also feel that the label of genius is one that should be given by others, and not something that I feel like it's a little. Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit of a
Kanye syndrome.
Yeah, like I don't know, presumptuous or something to label yourself. You know, that leave that to others. You know what I mean?
Do you remember? I know you a cartoon fan. I'm a cartoon fan.
Yeah,
for sure. Remember Wile E. Coyote? He would introduce himself with his card. Wile E. Coyote, super genius.
Genius. Yes, exactly.
Right, and you're feeling like, man. Did you see that documentary on Kanye West, Genius?
Man, I didn't. It's another one in my queue, and I know one of the brothers that like helped produce it too, which is
Oh yeah, you gotta
shameful that I
watch
haven't
it.
seen it yet. Yeah, I will.
I can't spoil it though, but Rhyme Fest checks Kanye on that very thing. Even though you can't
Interesting.
call yourself that, like that has to be something that somebody else identifies, and of course Kanye completely disagrees with him. And I'm kind of,
Right.
we get both sides of that fence, but
Yeah.
we talked earlier, maybe about 10 minutes ago, where you said, hey, look, there's a narrative that's out there about what Black life is. When we
Hmm.
don't see ourselves inside of a thing, something that we
Yeah.
aspire for, something that entertains us, then
Mm.
when we go to reach that level, we're like, I don't know if I've never seen myself in that. So I don't know if I
Right.
can subscribe to, I don't know if I can aspire towards it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
this is the same way. Like there is something, you said storytelling, teaches lessons without really overtly teaching, right? And
Right.
there's
Hmm.
something in the stories that we've been given in
Hmm.
school, in society, that conditions us to not aspire towards that genius level. That, like,
Interesting.
like I'm gonna ask you a question.
Yeah.
Like, who's the first name or the face that comes to mind when you think of genius?
Einstein.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's no wrong answer to that too, but I'm gonna tell you
Hmm.
what, most people that I talk to, whether it's
Hmm.
one-on-one or in these workshops, Einstein is who we've been conditioned to think of
Right.
when we're genius.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you and I, we 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 kind of look alike. You know what I mean? We
Right.
can vibe because we relate, but neither of us
Yeah.
look like Einstein.
Not at all.
And so when we have this condition or this thought of Einstein
Hmm.
being a genius, but then he doesn't look like either of us,
Right.
then we won't even let our minds won't even let ourselves get to that level. We'll
Right.
associate it to him and disassociate it from ourselves because we're like, man, I ain't
Yeah.
Einstein, though.
Right. Right. Right.
And this is not me trying to take anything away from Einstein. He was a genius, but the thing of it is, he was just one type.
Right. Yeah. Good point.
Like
Yeah.
there are many different types that fall outside of academia, that fall outside
Right.
of
Right.
physics,
Right.
that aren't related to a high GPA coming out of high
Hmm.
school, that don't
Hmm.
relate to a high IQ, right? And we
Right.
have to start to infuse and impart genius in those people as well, because
That's real.
the truth of the matter is, like, the world is broken. Like, would you agree?
Hmm. Yes. In a lot of
The,
ways.
in a lot of ways, right? And I feel
Right.
like
Right.
the
Right.
world is broken because there's a lot of people who are looking around like, well, doggone it, somebody need to fix that, but not me because I don't have I don't
Right.
have the makeup, I don't have the DNA to fix that. We're still
Hmm.
looking to people who have passed away. Einstein been dead for at least a
Right.
century.
Right.
Like
Right. Right.
his stuff is still being proven today. His theories are still being proven today, and that's amazing, right? But
Hmm.
the things that are wrong with the world today weren't wrong with his world back then. So if we keep relying on genius that's long gone to fix something
Hmm.
that's happening today, like the world's going to continue to be broken because there's
True.
just people are just looking around like somebody else will do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody else is more
Yeah.
equipped to handle it, and it's not. I don't think.
Hmm. Nah, not at all.
So there's a quote that comes from Einstein that'll help us unpack this a little more. Purportedly, it comes
Hmm.
from Einstein. The Facebook algorithms have been telling me that that's not true. It doesn't matter
Oh, really?
where it comes from.
Okay. Yeah.
It's still a thought. It's still a thought-provoking concept. I want to
Yeah.
say it to you. You let me know if you've heard it before and how
Okay.
it hits you. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Ready?
I'm ready. Bring it.
Here you go. Like to hear it? Here you go.
All right.
Uh, if you judge a fish by how well it can climb a tree,
Right.
in its entire life thinking it's stupid. Sounds like you've heard it.
Exactly. I have heard that before. And I love that. I love that quote. Yeah.
What's that saying to you?
Man, it's just saying that there are so many different types of, again, genius, different types of intelligence, different qualities that like any individual can have. And if we're only placing value or celebrating one of those types, you can have a lot of brilliant and highly intelligent, genius level people walking around not thinking that they are special and exceptional, you know? And so, I mean, we, not to go down this path, but like, yes, it's one of the issues with like the school system having one specific like track I mean, I think that schools are evolving these days. I've been hearing things about how like, yeah, there's now these different types of schools you can send your kids to and everything. Right. But like, you know, this whole like teaching to this one specific test or whatever, like that is so awful. Because, you know, there's a kid here who's like very good at memorizing facts, you know what I mean? And can spit them back out and is like acing these exams. Meanwhile, the person next to him is so head in the clouds because they're an artist, but they're visualizing and imagining these bizarre worlds and these emotional stories that can like impact the planet on a gigantic level, if only given the opportunity to flex that. But instead, they're being challenged to do that, memorizing and spitting back out this information. And because of their inability to do that well, they start to feel like, oh, I'm not smart, I'm not good, and they lose confidence. You know, and they can't shine. And one of the things, to the point about like just seeing yourself represented and having confidence and all that stuff. There's a book, I think it was David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell, where one of the takeaways was just how important believing that you're great is. And like one of the interesting points I think he made in that book was like, if you have a kid who's like exceptional, like at a young age, you know what I mean? They're showing that they're like, oh man, my kid is really good at soccer. Like this 5-year-old kid is dominating all the 5-year-olds. So what do? Oh, I'm gonna put him on move him up and play, let him play with the 8-year-olds. And so, because that's better competition for him. But this book was saying like, what that might do is now he feels average, as opposed to feeling like I'm exceptional. And then thus he loses his passion for the game and he doesn't perform at that level that he might perform at if you put him, you know, let him dominate. Because the more important thing is that this kid develops the idea that I'm good at this. You know what I mean? And they were saying the same thing with like, if you going to an Ivy League school like Harvard versus going to a slightly lower tier school where you're a big fish in a little pond versus being, you know, among all the big dogs, you know what I'm saying? They're if you look at all the, like, this was I'm butchering the stats, fact check me, but like all the top most successful, you know, people in business, CEOs and all these people, a lot of them didn't go to these Harvards and stuff because they come from smaller schools. Some didn't even go to school, and it has something to do with that. Like, if you view yourself as like an average person, you will perform. You won't maximize your actual like potential. It's wild, man. So anyway, like, you know, if you're this kid with this genius, but school is telling you you're a D student, you're gonna move like a D student. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna have that confidence. So yeah, that's the long-winded response to that. You
don't even know how you're already getting ahead, because we're going to talk about that a little more.
Okay, wow, go ahead. Yeah.
So let's get back to this fish though. Like this this fish has been conditioned by someone, because somebody has convinced, if this fish is a sentient being, like out of Dr. Seuss' book, right? And it can understand language, and somebody is coming along every day and asking this fish, you ain't climbed this tree yet? Why you ain't climbed this tree?
Yeah, right.
It's going to forget what its element is and try and acquiesce to what somebody else is saying the standard should be. Well, you should, what now this tree becomes an obstacle that they were never meant to climb. Like Einstein was a bear. He climbs trees.
Right.
This fish shouldn't be judging its genius by the bear's ability to climb a tree. Fish have scales, fins, and gills, and they're streamlined to be in water.
Exactly.
If you pick up a fish and put it in the water, you're going to see real quick what it was designed to do. You're going to see its genius take off. I challenge anybody to get into the water and try and keep up with a fish. It's impossible. The best swimmer can't keep up with a fish, right? And it's all about knowing what that fish's element is, because when you take it out of its element, you're not going to see the genius that it was designed with. And we've been taken out of our element. We've taken ourselves out of our element because we've been looking at Einstein in this tree as a bear, like, well,
Right,
you're
right.
doing that though. And if I can't do that, then I'm, it's like that
Exactly.
that you were talking about that has all this genius on the inside of him, but because he's trying to fit a square peg into a circular hole, he's like, well, I don't fit. I feel like a fish out of water. And we know what happens if a fish stays out of water long enough, right?
Right. It
It'll die.
dies. Yeah.
And Matt, I feel like the dude from Sixth Sense, man. I see dead genius all around me, right? I look
Wow. Yeah.
like,
Oh,
oh,
wow.
I see it
Yeah.
everywhere. And it's like I feel like it's been my goal now to revitalize, resuscitate, and resurrect the dying genius that I see around me, because a lot of people are already operating in it. And sometimes all it takes is for somebody to just give you that one little word of encouragement, like, yo, what you're doing is this. And you be like, oh, snap. Like,
Right. Wow. Yeah.
and it's about self-affirmation, because plenty of people, I know you've experienced this, plenty of people are going to come along in our lives and try to get us out of our element to make their world make sense.
Yeah. 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 That's
You feel
it.
what I'm saying? Like, we know what that
Absolutely.
felt like going to the University of Delaware. I remember, I would never forget when I went on campus to accept my award for merit scholarship, the full scholarship or whatever, for tuition. Like, somebody came up to me, was like, oh, you're here on scholarship? I was like, yeah. Will you play football? No, I don't.
No, yeah.
It sized me up. It was like, yeah, you must play football. No, actually, I'm computer engineering. That's my, and I just watched
and I just happened
to drop, like, here, let me hold your mouth.
Hold
your mouth. Exactly. I just saw their mind kind of implode and their paradigm had to speak, because it's like, nah, your labels don't fit on me.
Yeah.
But if you don't know who you are, and you've been conditioned to see yourself in a certain light for the majority of your life, and somebody comes along and starts putting a label on you that's never meant for you, that doesn't fit, but you don't know who you are, you may begin to accept it.
That's real.
And my thing is, if at the end of the day, outside of knowing that you are Matthew, John, Isaac, Munn, the next thing that you know is that you're a genius, when anybody puts a label on you that's anything less than that, you won't accept it. Like, nah, I'm a fish. Put me in the water though, and recognize, respect me and my lane though.
That's it.
So that's kind of where I'm coming from, man. And it's not a thing of, we often think of humility as not thinking too highly of yourself, but the other end of humility is not thinking too lowly of yourself either.
Right on.
It's a balance in between these two.
Yeah,
it is very important, right? So how do you find your element should be the next question that we address. And I contend that how you find your element, Matt, is through your passion.
Through your passion.
What's your word, right? So I'm gonna ask you, like, what your passion is. Oh, no, not what your passion is. What words come to mind when you hear this word passion?
Oh boy, yes. Okay, good question. So when I think passion, I think something that inspires you, like, to spend time with it. You know what I mean? Like something, like when I think about the passion, I think about, oh man, I have this burning emotional like desire to like either just to put my energy and intention on whatever the that thing is that is generating that passion. So whether it's an activity, an individual, you know what I mean? Like you're passionate about, some kind, like pursuing a goal or something. I think it always involves like a really kind of visceral kind of connection to that thing, like that you can't, that's like real on like that. It's not the motivation comes from something inside versus some like a concept or some external thing, you know what I mean? So and it's not necessarily something that, I don't want to say you can't turn off, but it's like, it's not fake. It's something that's just, even if it's like you try to like repress it, it's always there, you know what I mean? Kind of like burning inside of you, you know what I mean? So
I like that you're using this word burning, because I've had some people describe it as just the gas in your tank. And when you got gas in your tank, you're going to compare forward or upward. One of the two things, you're going to go up or you're going to go forward, but and it won't matter what obstacle is in front of you. You're going to address that thing. Like with I don't want to mess up that quote in this metaphor, but with the right passion inside that tank of that fish.
Mhm.
No matter what the obstacle is, he can overcome it. Now, the obstacle is the tree for that, and outside of his element, outside of his passion, it's not going to be able to circumvent that. But when it encounters something in its element, like there's no stopping it, right?
Right, right,
So
right.
here's the thing, though. So passion. A lot of times when we talk to kids, we start saying stuff like, "Hey, man, do what you love," right? When you get
Right.
into your career, do what you love, and
Mhm.
I'm going to challenge that and say, hey, look, you know what? Save love for marriage. When it comes to your passion, you actually
Yeah.
focus on what you hate, though.
Mm. Focus on what you hate, huh?
Yeah, and I didn't steal. I didn't come up with this. I read a book by
Okay.
this dude named Mike Murdoch, not Matt Murdoch. We're not talking about Daredevil.
Right.
Mike
Okay.
Murdoch called The Assignment, and he was like, "Look,
Mhm.
yo, if you want to know what your assignment is, what you've been put on this planet to do,
Mhm. Mhm.
then you need to focus on what it is that you hate because we talked
Mm.
about how the world is broken earlier, right?
I see. Yeah. Mhm.
When the world is broken, there's something about that brokenness that affects you in a negative way.
Right. Right. Right.
And when you feel it, like it may traumatize you from
Mhm.
your youth. Like when you've experienced it, you're like, this doesn't make me feel like I belong.
Wow.
This has traumatized me. This is making me feel like a fish out of water. And so you may
Mm.
eventually kind of get over it, but when you see it operating on somebody else and
Yeah.
limiting someone else, you're like, oh, I hate that though.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And what you may start to do is you may start to be
Mm.
like, oh, you see this? Like nobody else is bothered by this. Like
Yeah.
somebody should do something about that.
Wow.
You
Mhm.
keep looking around like, yo, somebody should, ain't nobody gonna address this. And it's like, yo, if you keep focusing on it, then the somebody that's supposed to do something about it is you.
Bro, yo, you don't even know how on point what you're saying is to me, because and I want to let you finish your thought there before I jump on it. But
Yeah, no, jump on it,
yeah,
man.
no, I was just gonna say, like, what's wild is that, so I mentioned how I'm telling stories now, and I'm working on a story idea currently for with Disney TV animation, and like the the theme of that story is very personal to me, and it's one about yeah, it's so wild. It's basically something that speaks on embracing your authentic self, your magic. You know what I mean? This is the whole concept behind the term Black girl magic.
Yeah,
It's to celebrate the beauty and power in people who aren't often portrayed as beautiful and
I portrayed
powerful.
that way.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And so we're going to celebrate that in you know, and specifically in Black Girl Magic, you know, it's about Black girls because they're the least celebrated when it comes to those things. But like you know, the story that I'm telling, I originally was just simply like, oh man, we need a Disney or like an animated Black princess kind of movie, or a Black hero type of animated movie where they just are awesome. You know, in the same
yeah,
way that Milan is awesome and Moana is awesome, just doing magical stuff, kicking butt, nothing like strong, powerful characters. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I was like, yo, I want to do that. And so I'm making the story, but what ended up happening was some of the stuff, my traumas from my childhood, things that I have hated about my experience over the years started coming out into this story. And it's
yeah.
wild that you were like, you said what you said, because it's like, yo, I'm you know, I'm reading books and listening to podcasts along the way, trying to like get better at the storytelling thing. And I remember listening to a podcast where some host said, yeah, when you write, it's like therapy. Like it's almost like your stuff
You're working out
will
your.
come out in your
Mhm,
writing. And I
mhm.
found myself writing about a girl overcoming being like weird in her society and being kind of looked at as like a misfit, or like she's quirky and just like doesn't really fit in, and is cool with it as a kid, because she's just like, as a kid, we're not as aware and self-conscious. We're just like, we do what our passion like instructs us to do. We follow our heart, what we love. If we want to dress up like a Ninja Turtle and go to school, we do that because we don't care what others think. But then we start getting to a certain age,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden we're like socially conscious and self-aware, and next thing you know, we start shutting down a little bit. We start trying to conform, and that happened to me.
Oh,
that
you
was
want me
my
to climb this
story.
tree? Okay, I'll go ahead.
Yeah, or like, yo, you want me to? Oh, I can't wear this weird purple shirt. I need to go find a Tommy Hilfiger shirt. Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh, I can't wear these sneakers. These are Bobos, you say? Oh, you guys are laughing at me. I got to go ask my mom to spend more money to get Jordans. Okay, like I hated that. Like I shut down as a kid, man, and it messed me up, and it's something I've like the scars from those middle school years and like early high school years have lasted, carried on. Like I'll go out as a 40-year-old man and somebody might be like, yo, what kind of shoes you got on? Just like not even clowning me, just be like, what kind of, and it'll like trigger me, like, you know?
Right. In your mind, he said, what are those?
Yeah, what are those? And I'm just like, these shoes are fine. But like the whole idea, like to your point, is that I find myself, as soon as I introduced that element into the story, I became locked in and like passionate about this because I'm like trying to like attack this thing that I hate so much in this story. And I'm like, I want this story to be the like the answer to like that thing that's been that plagued me back in the 90s when I was in school, and it's still to this day, like especially with social media, like corrupting, you know, or like causing kids and adults to shut down and to like, you know, try to be what they're not, because what they are authentically is considered strange or weird or unacceptable, or, you know, I don't want people to be like, what's her deal, you know, because I like to do something that's kind of different, you know what I mean? So anyway, I think when you said that, like you find the thing you hate and like attack it, it's like, man, that's exactly what I've been doing. Man. It's showing, huh?
It's showing, man.
I'll let you speak on it. I love it.
A fish out of water looks weird. When it's flopping around, it looks like it doesn't belong because it doesn't. But when you put it in its element, you'll find out, right? And so this trauma that we experience informs us so that other people won't suffer as well. And that's what genius does. Genius first self-affirms, and then it looks around like, all right, how can I activate your genius? I recognize your genius. It looks like mine. Let me make sure that you have the proper lane. I mean, I see you doing this for Journey. I see this doing this for your niece. Right. But not just your niece, but countless others who, you know, are out there, like you just said.
Yeah.
The real consequence of what you're saying, I said that I see, you know, dying genius all around me, but people are physically taking their lives because of this thing of I don't belong, I don't fit, because of being made fun of, right? And we have to let them know that you do fit. Like there is space for you. And so let me like prove the point even further if I can with a story.
Please. Yes.
All right. So I took this message. I was asked to come to an elementary school and talk to 10 little boys. Just talk to them in general. They were troubled students. I knew the principal. She was like, yo, can you just come every Friday and just pour into them? I'm like, bet. I was workshopping this whole genius thing. So I came into the classroom and I was like, hey, I need you all to know that you're a genius. Each of you. And they was like, dude, who are you talking to? One dude got offended, like, don't call me that.
I ain't no genius.
I ain't no genius. Like,
I'm dumb.
Right. Like they had embraced some labels that they put on them. They had embraced ADD. They had embraced ADHD. All minority students. They had embraced, hey, you're disruptive in class. You're emotionally imbalanced. They had embraced and been conditioned to accept that, the negative affirmation. So when I came with a positive one, they didn't know what to do with that. They was like, dude, you're in the wrong class. I don't know who you talking to. Like, don't call me that. Like they was really wrong with me. And I'm like, all right, pump your brakes. But I said, all right, I know what can get you talking though. I asked them the same question I asked you. I was like, yo, tell me what you hate though. And it was like, you want to know what I hate?
Yeah.
And they looked at me like, you know, you're messed up, right?
Right.
This is society, you know, you're messed up, right?
Yeah.
Guess what they said though? These 10 little boys, Matt, that could never agree on anything, what game to play, when to play it, where to sit, whatever. They all told me the same thing. And you already touched on it earlier. You already mentioned it. He was like, I don't mean to go down here, but we're going to go down here. What do you think you told me the thing that they hated the most?
The testing. Is that it?
The testing. What's the system that's put in this environment? They were in the same class all day. You about to say it.
Well, yeah, the school system, the way it's set up, the academics.
It was like, we hate school, Mr. Key. Now what?
Yeah.
We messed your whole workshop. I said, actually, no, you didn't. You're proving my point. Because if the thing that you hate is the thing that you were put on this planet to fix, then I told them, I'm looking at 10 future educators.
Wow.
And they was,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
They got quiet. So I was like, no, where you going? Why are you backing up? Let me explain.
Homer Simpsoning.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, nah, let me explain this. I was like, all right, there are 8 different learning styles. At most, schools are only teaching from 3. If you don't speak these 3 learning styles, you don't feel like you fit in. Josh about to get in.
Oh, all right. Yeah, bring them on in.
I'm gonna wait for Josh to get in before I drop this. Drop this. Welcome, Xi Omicron.
Yes, indeed.
The outsiders.
There he is.
Hey,
what's up, brother?
You came in right at the perfect time, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, man. Appreciate it. But you got all these marathon joints in the background?
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, those are some marathon and some jujitsu things.
Okay.
That I have done. I'm trying to turn my volume to the proper setting.
Look,
so
man,
essentially,
don't right at a good time. What you gonna say, Matt?
No, it's like essentially don't mess with him because he will catch you. And when he catches you, he will make you tap.
But second, man, you came right at a good time when we were talking about this idea that I was sharing with Matt, that I had taken this message to 10 little boys that were minority students. They were all in the same class all day. What I didn't tell you, Matt, that I'll tell both of you, these 10 little boys were in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, but they were all in the same classroom all day.
Wow.
And so that doesn't sound right?
Not at all.
3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, you know what that classroom was, right? It was what we would have called back in the day special ed.
Yeah.
What they now call IEP, or individual education plan. But they got these labels put on them. I got ADHD, ADD, all these other different type of things. So Josh, when I told these kids, after I asked them, hey, what is it that you hate the most? And though they could never agree on anything, they all told me school. And so Josh, what you missed out on is I was telling Matt, hey, look, if you want to figure out what your passion is, and we'll get a chance, you and I'll chop it up individually, Josh. I told him, like, look, if you want to figure out what you were put on this planet to fix, because the world is pretty much broken, then you gotta focus on what you hate. Because the thing that you hate is informing you on what it is that you are meant to fix on this planet, and it gives you your passion, it drives you. So I'm talking to these little boys and I'm like, look, if you're telling me that each of you hate school, then what you're telling me is you're a future educator, right? And so I said, look, of the 8 different learning styles that you have in the world, schools only teach from 3. And if you don't speak one of those languages, you're gonna feel like I don't understand what's being said. I'm gonna feel like, Matt, you talked about it, that D student, that genius student that was like feeling like he was a D student because he didn't fit in. So I told him, I was like, look, what's the 3 languages? If you're a logical, a left brain thinker, then school might fit for you. It might work for you. You like math, but a lot of people don't like math. If you're a visual learner, you process information by what you see, which, there's a lot of visual cues in the classrooms, then you might be good. Or if you're a verbal learner, like I'm talking to you all are hearing me verbally, but if you don't learn through one of those 3 methods, then you can be like, I don't understand what y'all saying. Right. I don't feel like I belong here. Let me talk about some of the other learning styles. Josh, I think your board represents one of the learning styles that I see right now. One of the other learning styles is a kinesthetic learner. Wow. Kinesthetic learners got to move to process information. But when you start moving in the classroom, what's going to happen? Hey, sit down, be still.
Right.
Now, I don't understand what you're saying. Or you might be an expeditionary or exploratory learner, which means you got to put your hands on stuff and mess with it to understand what's being said. But when you go to put your hands on stuff, hey, keep your hands to yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Or you might be, Matt, you talked about this already, the right brain thinker, that's visual. Let me tell you something. Let me backtrack for a second and tell you something about Einstein, Matt and Josh. Einstein was a visual learner. Not visual, he was a right brain thinker. He's a visual learner too. He's a right brain thinker. Did you know that this man who we have, defined genius, like he's the standard, But in secondary school, he got a letter home. His parents got a letter that said, hey, you might want to make sure Einstein work with his hands. He not that bright.
Wow. Yeah.
Because his learning style wasn't what was being taught in the classes. And so he was doing things outside of the box, that standardized box, right? And they were like, you don't fit in here. And if he had listened to what the teachers, if his parents had listened to what the teachers were saying, we would have been robbed of one of the greatest physics minds that we know today, right?
Right.
But it didn't stop in secondary school. Once he got into college, the teachers were still like, yo, Einstein, are you home? Are you here? Like, what are you doing? Wow. He was looking out of a window. You know what he was doing when he was looking out of the window? He was imagining what it would look like to ride a light beam from the sun to the earth. And in imagining that, he came up with the theory of relativity.
Wow.
But they were like, yo, whatever you're doing, stop. If he had stopped and not pursued it again, we would have, the person who we ascribe to genius, we wouldn't even know who he is. So back to these little boys, right? I told them the other learning styles that they probably operate in. And I said, look, if you take your learning style and instead of being like, I hate school and running away from it, if you then allow that learning style to equip you and become your teaching style, and then go back to the system that traumatized you and that marginalized you and made you feel like a fish out of water, now you're going to begin to fix the system, because now you're going to begin to represent the other learning styles that are missing. Now you're going to begin to speak to the other learning styles, the other student who's in there like, I don't understand these three learning styles, but the way you speaking at me, you telling me to get up and move around, you telling me that I can touch, you telling me that I can. Now you're reaching the person that couldn't reach, that you were back then, and nobody was trying to talk to.
Right, yeah.
That's a game changer. That's revolutionizing, Matt, the system that you already identified earlier on. That was like, yeah, this school system, how it's operating, how it's structured, it's not prospering everybody. Right. It's only equipped to advance certain people.
It's identifying those specific type of smart kids and disregarding the other geniuses.
Yeah, and
potential geniuses.
Now they're conditioned to be like, well, I guess I don't have anything to offer.
Yeah, and, man.
They go out into the world with their self-confidence is low. They don't perform as well as they could have because of this label that was put on them, and engaged in the right way. Josh,
Reggie, I was just reading a book. It's called Stolen Focus, and I thought it had some really good points in it. And one of the points that it talks about is how young people today are being labeled as ADD, not being able to focus, and teachers are saying, hey, your child is in the classroom, but they're somewhere else. And one of the things that it talks about in this book is there are a lot of social things that go on in people's lives that affect us, and especially these children in particular, because, and the example they give is, if I'm walking down a trail in the woods and I'm thinking about, man, I'm hungry. When I get home, I'm going to eat so much. I'm so hungry, I'm starving. And I'm very focused on being hungry, right? Then all of a sudden, a grizzly bear jumps out from behind a tree and is like, I'm hungry, I'm about to eat you. So now my life is in grave danger. Am I hungry anymore?
Nope.
Yes. Well, but am I thinking about being hungry? No. Where is my focus? My focus is on the immediate threat in front of me. So unfortunately, these children, for example, they use the example of some children who are growing up in Chicago, where they have friends who are being killed on the way to school.
Yeah. Right.
So if you're worried about your safety on your way to school, how can you come to school and focus on the math problem in front of you?
Right.
If someone at home is hurting you, how can you be focused on science when when you get home, you've got to try to protect yourself from that threat at home? Yeah. So it's not that these children don't have the ability to focus. Their focus is somewhere else, as it should be. That is our nature of survival. They're trying to survive. How can one be educated when they're so focused on everyday survival? You know what I mean? And I thought it was a really interesting point, because I think there are a lot of children who actually are able to focus, but we're not looking at where their focus is. Right. All we're seeing is that they're not focused on what I want them to focus on right now, but they're actually genetically focusing on the thing they should be focusing on, which is survival, which is seeing tomorrow. It's a really interesting point that the book made, and I thought that is a very good point. And I think it's why we see sometimes a difference in the children's performance in certain areas of where they grew up and what they're dealing with, because they have real problems. These kids are dealing with the same problems that our soldiers are coming home from the battlefield with.
Wow.
Exactly. PTSD. Yeah. And no one's treating these children. No one's talking to them. This is their normal life. And we got soldiers who are killing themselves over these things. And these children are living.
Kids are killing themselves too, real talk.
Kids are killing themselves too. It's really interesting. I said, wow, that is a great point. Great point. I think a lot of kids are mislabeled.
We're gonna put a pin in that. We're gonna come back to that because I feel some passion boiling up on the inside of you. I'm gonna get at that a little more. A couple minutes left with Matt before we gotta get to this.
Okay.
So we're gonna come back to it though, because that's a great point. Like I said,
that's a really good point, man. I'm glad you shared that.
Josh coming in just blowing the whole open up. I love it.
Yeah.
But look, I wanna make sure that I focus on Matt before he gotta leave, because Matt, what we're at now is we've identified passion, and I don't want to spoil it for Josh. We've redefined passion. Talent is pretty obvious, right? Talent is what it is that you're good at doing, and your purpose in life is to discover what your talent is and realize that it's a tool to address your passion. Because we talked about what passion is, it's just a thing that's broken in the world that impacts you in a negative way, without saying that one word that we attributed to it. Josh, we'll get into that. We'll unpack that more for you in a minute. So looking at what your talent is, Matt, tell us what your talent is.
My talent? I would say I think I'm a talented, I have an imagination that enables me to do certain things well. Like I have a creative imagination type brain, and I'm very right-brained. So like I think so for with animating, creating character performances, as well as like conceptualizing stories and stuff, I have like such a vivid imagination that like I think it aids me in that. And so I would say that maybe that imagination is my talent, and when I apply it creatively, that's when I have I have some success with these endeavors, you know what I mean, the creative endeavors. So
you've been able to channel this talent to create into a pen or a stylus, whatever you use to create these worlds. And what you've done is you've honed that talent for years, creating other people's worlds. And now you're at the stage where you're like, you know what though, I'm gonna create a world that gets at the thing that traumatized me as a youth, when I didn't see representation for myself, when I felt like I was a fish out of water, I did not belong. And I want to make sure that nobody else, whoever sees what you're about to create, can have that whole thought process dispelled. Like, yo, she's quirky. Like he has a whole show that he's pitched and is being what you say, workshopped, or it's being optioned.
It's being developed with the intention on then we're developing this story idea and creating like a pitch document that's going to have visuals and information, like a pilot script, all the stuff that we will then present to like the company, like the heads of the company, to get a green light for this thing to then become a new series. You know what I mean? So we're still working on that. But I wanted to say, like, there is, I'm sorry. Nah, so like, no. There is something that I was thinking about where when you're talking about this thing that you hate, and I'm like, and I guess you're saying you combine your talent with that thing, right? Yep. But what's interesting is it's like, in a sense, and you tell me what you think about this, like you're kind of combining something you love and attacking something you hate with what you love. You get what I'm saying?
No,
and that's a beautiful thing. I never thought of it like that. But
can I give you an example real quick? My fault.
Yeah.
I know you gotta go.
No, please.
I love hip hop, but I hate where it is right now.
Yeah.
I hate I love the platform of it. I love that it gave a voice to the voiceless back in the day, but I hate how destructive it's become right now. So what do? I pick up my talent as a wordsmith, and I show you how to work it. I'll show you how to, hey, look, we're going to write out how you should really be putting out this message and using this platform in a way that's constructive and not deconstructive. So it's a combination of what I love and hate. So go ahead.
Yeah, no. I was just saying, because I think that it sounds funny to say like use that hate as your fuel. That's some like Sith talk, you know what I mean? Like that. So like it's like I think it's always going to be better fuel to like be fueled by something positive, like something that you like, that inspires you, like that you love, you know, and but in considering the things that are these broken things in the world, the things that you hate, and seeing how I think it is a very worthwhile exercise to see, to consider like how what I do love, what I'm passionate, what to do, how can I apply that to fixing this broken thing? Because what you then might have is, oh my God, when I'm being driven by this love for a thing, but also adding in this extra additional boost of hate, the love-hate combo, then you're like, you might achieve something incredible. Because I tell you what, like I like writing, right? I love it. I love writing, but there are going to be periods where it becomes hard. And I'm like, I'm stressed because I can't figure out the story problem, or I'm animating something and I can't get it looking good. And then this thing that I love becomes like stressful. And I'm just like, okay, now it doesn't feel good because I'm like in this situation where like I'm less angry or whatever, or like I'm hitting this wall. And it's funny because if all I'm being motivated by is this feels good, I love this, I'm passionate, that's the point where I'll stop and be like, I'm done. But if I'm also additionally driven by this, like I have to fix this problem, or I hate this thing, and the only way to do something about it is if I can power through and keep going, that combination working together could be the thing that gives you that resilience, that grit, that'll get you to, you know, achieving this like highest level of achievement. So yeah, so it's interesting. I like it.
You are not going to fall short on material for this series and the series that are to come, because you're going to continue to have this wellspring that will not run dry on the inside, because you're going to address the things that were unaddressed in your life when you were younger. So man, as you head out, man, I want to thank you for your time, and I want to just ask you real quick, man, do you consider yourself to be a genius?
I'm a genius, man. Hey. Yes, sir. Heck yeah.
My man.
Yo, hey, Reg, I appreciate this. This was great. Thanks for having me on. Josh, it was good to see you, brother. We'll catch up later. But Reg, I love that you're doing this, man. You keep this up, and we'll be in touch. All right.
Yes, sir. All right, man.
All right, brothers. Y'all take care.
You too, man.
This video is continued on Manu Forte Ministries. Thanks for joining us for this week's episode. Make sure you pick up the book, Common Genius, Uncommon Destiny, by my dad, Reggie Legend, available on Amazon and at inkwellspoken.com. Connect with us at inkwellspoken on all social media platforms. If you enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload.